I'm now going to show you how you are going to make a photo collage in Photoshop with all the photos that you took of the different letters in the hallway. So what I've done here is I've opened up a bunch of photos. Let's just say those are your letters. You're going to file. You are going to new. Right, I already have this custom in here, 8.5 by 11 landscape. But again, 11 by 8.5 landscape, resolution 300 pixels per inch, and we want RGB color. Okay, the background is going to be white. So creating that. So let's say that the word that I have has 4 letters in it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want to put a grid on here. It's the first thing I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to go over here to view. Actually, the first thing I want to do is make sure that I've actually turned this. See how it's 8.5 by 11 inches? So you want that, right? Right now, yours is probably in pixels. So when you go to view, show ruler, the default is to have that in pixels, not inches. If you want to do the math in your head, you can definitely do pixels. If it's 300 pixels per inch, do the math on that. I'm not doing it like that. So what I'm going to do is go over, make sure that you go into edit, preferences, units and rulers, and set that to pixels per inch. And you want to check your inch. You want to go to inches. Okay. That's kind of my default now. So that's what I did. That's what it looks like that. Okay. Now I want to put on some guidelines to help me figure out where it is. You should have on the piece of layout paper figured out exactly how many inches you want it to be. So now we're going to just make a grid so that we know where to put stuff. So I'm going to go over again to view guides. I'm going to do a new guide layout. Okay, so right now it's set up for 5 columns. My letters only want 4 letters, so I'm going to change that to 4. So it automatically is it's doing the math for me. And I set it up, I've already been in here, I've already set this up. So yours is going to be more like 0, 0, like 7 or something. That's the distance right here from the edge of the paper. I know I want mine to be a 1/2 inch away from each side, so I'm doing that. And also for these guides right here, for the top and the bottom, I'm assuming I want it to be 2 inches from the bottom. It could be something else in yours. You could do it, however you're doing it. So now I'm going to make these little this is where the actual letter images are going to go. So you might want to think about the aspect ratio that you have, the size of it, and then change the top and the bottom accordingly, like whatever math you kind of came up with. So that's what I'm doing for now. So I have these boxes right here. So what we're going to be doing is cutting and pasting the different letters in and putting each one in here. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over to one of my first pictures. I'm going to select everything. So I do a Control A. That just means I'm selecting everything. You can also go with your selection tool and you can just select it all. Let's select all, right? So I'm going to do copy. So that's Control C. I'm copying it. Then I'm going into my new thing that I made. And then I'm going to Control V. If you look over here on the right, you see that I've made a new layer. Right now, the background layer, as you can see, is locked. The background layer is always locked on these. So just let you know that's always locked. So this is my new layer. And I have a little eyeball right here, so I can turn this layer on and off. This is what it looked like. This is the new one. So let's say I want to put some portion of this inside this first little box right here. So I'm going to go back over here. Make sure that this is on. Oops. All right. So make sure your snap is also on. So you're going to go to View, Snap to Guides, because you have these lovely guidelines on here. You want to make sure that you can actually find them and make a perfect rectangle. So I go over here to, this is my marquee tool. Clicked on that. And I want it in here. So I'm going to click on there to here. Oops, sorry, the back. My marquee tool. Make sure it's on. Okay. And I'm going to just drag it. I'm dragging it. Here we go. So right now, these are called marching ants, right? And it's going over this portion. Let's turn this off so you can see this. It's going over this portion right here. So what I want to do now is make a mask. So I want to make a window, right? That only the part that I want to show is going through. So right here, I am making a mask because it says create mask from selection. And see, here it is right over here. So what I've done is I've made a mask. It's like, think of it as a window. So see how I have all the black over there and then the white? So that's what you can see, the window. You're going to see the picture through the window. You can't see it right now because I have to move this now onto this layer. Okay, and I'm turning this on. So now that's how that works. Let me just back that up again. Okay, so now I say I have that like that. I'm taking this mask, which again is like a little window, and I'm putting it up in this layer. So you're telling this layer that you want to show out of this picture you have, you want this, only this part of it to show. But you can see you might want to move stuff around. So right here, this is linked. So if I click on this layer and then I go to the move tool and I move this around, it's moving everything around, right? It moved everything. So I'm going to undo that, Control Z, and I'm going to unlink it. So now when I go to move my layer, oops, excuse me, unselect. So now when I go to move this layer, I'm just moving what's inside it, right? I'm just moving what's inside the layer. So now the little window is on this, and then I can take this behind it and I can squish it around and just, so again, I'm making that little window. Okay. So I'll show you one more time how to do that. So I'm going to go back over to my base layer. I'm selecting, right? And then I'm going to my, so that's my, what is that one? That is the rectangular marquee tool. And now I'm going to click and drag it, and it's going to snap, right? It's going to get into my rectangle. And I'm going to press create mask. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to add my new picture. So I want to do that right now. This is, I am Control A to select it, Control C to copy it. And I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to, okay, it's my new layer. I'm going to put that up there, right? That's this is the layer because you see this because this is the top layer. Think of this as like a stack of cards. So that what's ever on the top is what you can see. So if I move this down here, you would see this on top of it, right? Because I have a masking layer here, and this layer right here is like, oh, just this window, just show this, and then show all that beneath it. All right, but we don't want that. We want that. Let's turn these back on. We want this up here, so I'm going to drag it. But that layer that I made before, I'm going to take that and I'm going to pop that right into here. Right, it'll work right there. Okay, I unlocked it. Anyway, that's why. Anyway, so there you go. So now I have these two next to each other, exactly where I want them to go. Oh, one more thing on the grid. When you set up the grid to start with, you have the choice of doing an alley. Got to mention that. So if you go over here to your guides, if you want a new guide layout, you also have the choice right here. It says gutter. So I got rid of that on the gutter so that it didn't have two little spaces between there. But if you want to have little spaces between there, you can. Just how to make the gutter, like 2 or point, say like 0.2. Now you have like a space, right? I decided I wanted him to touch, so I just made that 0. But yours the default is accenting in the gutter. Okay. All right, so that's how this is going to work. So just keep on adding your pictures on there. And if you need any help, just call me over. Okay, thank you.